Let's get right into it. If you ever feel incredibly stupid, just remember that the smartest physicists in human history once used a $2 screwdriver to play with a literal nuclear bomb, and they lost. This is the story of the demon core. To understand how completely unhinged this is, you have to understand the science. The demon core was a 14-pound sphere of weapons-grade plutonium. It was originally built to be the third atomic bomb dropped on Japan, but the World War II server event ended early. So instead of locking it in a secure vault, the military just kept it on a desk at Los Alamos. They were basically using it to farm data for future bombs, tried to figure out exactly how to maximize their explosive stats for the upcoming Cold War expansion pack. So, the core just became a highly toxic science toy. Plutonium is inherently spicy. It constantly spits out subatomic particles called neutrons. If those neutrons fly out into the open air, everything is fine. But if you surround the core with reflective heavy metals, those escaping neutrons bounce back inside. They smash into other plutonium atoms, splitting them open and forcing them to spit out even more neutrons. It's basically a microscopic ping pong tournament where the ball multiplies every time it hits a paddle. If too many neutrons get trapped, the core hits what physicists call supercriticality. The ping pong tournament goes infinite. It triggers a runaway nuclear chain reaction and shoots out a massive lethal wave of gamma and neutron radiation. The scientists called testing this limit tickling the dragon's tail, because apparently having a PhD in quantum mechanics makes you talk like a World of Warcraft NPC. Enter Player 1, Harry Daghlian. August 1945. Harry is running a solo mission in the lab at 9:30 at night. His experiment involves surrounding the plutonium sphere with heavy tungsten carbide bricks. Tungsten acts as a perfect mirror for neutrons. By building a little metal fort around the core, Harry is trapping the escaping radiation and forcing it back into the ball. He is purposely edging a nuclear bomb to see exactly how much reflection it takes to trigger a chain reaction. It's basically high-stakes radioactive Jenga. He hovers the final brick over the top. The radiation monitors start screaming because the core is about to pop. Harry realizes he pushed it too far and tries to pull his hand back, but he rolls a natural one on dexterity and drops the heavy-ass brick directly onto the plutonium. The neutron mirror is completely sealed. The ping-pong tournament goes infinite. The core instantly goes supercritical. A blinding flash of neon blue light hits the room. The sheer volume of radiation shooting out of the core literally strips the electrons right out of the oxygen molecules, causing the air itself to glow neon blue. Harry panics and tries to sweep the brick off, but it's too heavy. Realizing his mistake, he has to frantically tear down the surrounding brick wall with his bare hands to let the neutrons escape, finally stopping the chain reaction. But his HP bar is already permanently deleted. There was a security guard sitting at a desk in the corner who caught some stray splash damage, but he was far enough away that he survived and lived for another 33 years. Harry wasn't so lucky. Acute radiation sickness isn't a normal physical injury. It's an aggressive software virus that unzips your DNA. Your cells just forget how to render. Every second of every day, your body is naturally replacing millions of dead cells with new ones. But the radiation burst completely wipes your biological hard drive. Your body literally forgets how to print new skin or white blood cells. And because of the inverse square law, radiation damage drops off drastically with distance. Harry's right hand was hovering directly over the core when it popped, meaning it tanked astronomically more damage than his torso. Over the next few days, his right hand blistered into a massive necrotic balloon. The skin literally sloughed off his bones. He lost all his hair and slowly melted from the inside out while fully conscious, until his organs finally gave out. Harry gets a game over screen 25 days later. Now, you would think the Los Alamos admins would immediately push a server patch banning people from physically touching the glowing death orb. They didn't. They literally just let people keep messing with it. Enter Player 2, Slotin. Slotin was the resident of the physics department. He wore blue jeans and cowboy boots to the lab, and his ego stat was completely maxed out. On May 20th, 1946, Slotin is doing a live tutorial for 7 other visiting scientists, but he thinks stacking bricks is for noobs. His method involves placing a hollow beryllium dome over the core. Beryllium is an even better neutron mirror than tungsten. If the dome drops completely flush over the core, the neutrons are instantly trapped, the core goes supercritical, and everybody in the room gets sent to the lobby. The mandatory safety protocol required scientists to use wooden shims to keep the dome propped open, so neutrons could safely escape. But Slotin thought safety protocols were a skill issue. Instead of using the shims, he wedged the blade of a flathead screwdriver under the edge of the dome and balanced it with his bare hand. He literally trusted his own wrist stability over the laws of subatomic physics. He had done this trick dozens of times to flex on his colleagues, but on this day, his hand slips a fraction of an inch, the screwdriver slides out, and the heavy beryllium dome drops completely shut. The ping pong tournament goes infinite again. The exact same blinding blue air ionizing flash fills the lab. A massive wave of physical heat hits the room. Slotin reacts instantly and violently flips the beryllium dome onto the floor. Just like Harry, he breaks the neutron mirror and stops the runaway chain reaction. The room tastes like ozone and panic. Slotin calmly drops the dome, walks over to a chalkboard, and draws a precise map of where everyone was standing in the room. He knows this diagram is the only way doctors will be able to calculate everyone's exact radiation dose. He is literally running the geometry to figure out who gets to live and who gets a permanent ban. He finishes the map, looks at his colleagues, and calmly tells them, well, that does it. He knows his save file is already corrupted. But here's the crazy part about Slotin's diagram. Because he was leaning directly over the core, his torso basically acted as a biological vest. He completely shielded the rest of the room by absorbing the absolute worst of the blast himself. The other 7 guys who were just standing there watching him edge a nuke actually survived the initial event. A few of them eventually got leukemia or cancer decades later. Slotin immediately entered what medical professionals call the walking ghost phase. Because your cells don't die instantly, you actually feel perfectly fine for a few days after a lethal radiation dose. You are walking around, talking, and drinking coffee, but you are biologically a corpse that just hasn't realized it's dead yet. But Slotin took such a massive hit that his walking ghost phase didn't last long. The left hand he used to hold the beryllium dome turned completely pale, then black, and swelled to the size of a grapefruit. His intestinal lining stopped generating new cells, meaning his digestive tract literally disintegrated inside his abdomen. He spent his final days in absolute unimaginable agony as his brain scrambled and his body basically liquefied in the hospital bed. He lasts 9 days before his organs completely shut down. After Slotin dies, the military finally realizes humans absolutely cannot be trusted with shiny radioactive balls. They institute a permanent patch banning all hands-on experiments. Everything has to be done using remote-controlled machines from a quarter-mile away behind heavy concrete shielding. So what happened to the Demon Core? Did they lock it in a cursed vault? Nope. Because of the accidents, the core was too radioactive and neutron poison to be detonated. They kept it in New Mexico to let it cool down, and eventually melted it down to recycle the plutonium back into other warheads. Human arrogance is the most persistent bug in our source code. We can map the quantum realm and harness the power of a dying star, but we still can't stop a guy from trying to edge a nuclear bomb with a hand tool. That's all for today. Subscribe to my channel before some guy with a screwdriver starts World War III.